Yeah. Yeah, we're live. It's Free Symbol Friday. I don't know if you knew that, but I give away free stuff on Fridays. So, and I'm behind. I need to get some done. And I figured why not utilize some new tools that we've created. Um, First of all, the Rabbit Design feed is live on Discord now, and I'll drop it in the chat. I'll give you your own personal invite right now. And really, it's turning out to be the best way that I can handle people's questions about installs, questions about tools, questions about my best methods. I've got a lot of cool tricks and tips that I'm sharing by using some new GIF creating tools, GIF creating tools. Um, I'll give you an example. We'll look at just the pro plan section here, and there's a tips and tricks section, and you can see here I'm posting tips and tricks by using GIFs to demonstrate those. So, which ends up being really nice, really intuitive. It just, stuck on replay, you get to see how something's done. So I'm going to start putting together a lot of these, and they're easy for me to put together. So this seems to be a really good system. But another reason for the Discord server is just it's really easy to get everybody together and common questions, common solutions, and kind of crowdsourcing this. Feel like I've been going it alone for a long time, and I don't know why, because I have so many wonderful people that are willing to help me out. Maybe it's just that I wanted to figure it out on my own. Who knows? But community is great, and this is a great way for us to get them together. So in this Discord server, there's two robots so far. We've got ChatGPT for some version of it, some plugin of it. It's not quite as powerful. We're working on that. And then another thing I've got in here is I got Midjourney built in to the server, and you can kind of see what I'm doing as I'm doing it. So I used Midjourney to build out a blog earlier, and now I'm using it to make a bunch of textures for you guys. So I'm going to do a tile pack again this time. So I'm going to use a tile pack, and I've just generated a bunch of textures right off the bat, and I'm going to start producing them. So here we go. We're going to get right into it. And let me see if I got my new hotkeys are set up. I should be able to hit, what, Control 8? Nope, Control 8 does nothing. Control F8. I don't know what I just did. What languages do I speak? I'm in the settings and I don't know how to get out. No, I don't want it. I'm still learning Discord. There we go. Get me back. Get me back. All right. AI textures. Here we go. So I think what's my hotkey? I got to learn this. Just got to figure out how to keep these headphones in my ears. Control F8. There we go. And there's my Photoshop side. So here we go. I'll show you what I have is, since a lot of these Midjourney prompts bring up, especially when you use the dash tile designation, which makes a seamless texture, it will produce a lot of four square pieces, I find, especially if you do some kind of mosaic. So this is a Spanish tile mosaic. So what I've done here is I've drawn 4 quadrants, and then I have, and my face is probably blocking it at the moment, but let me just drag this menu out or up so that you guys can see it. So I've got a hue and saturation adjustment layer, which means I can change the color of the grout line on the fly. And this is overlaid on top of this texture. So that makes it so that I can very quickly generate a bunch of textures for myself. So this is going to be my first one. So we're just going to export this just like this. And I've started doing a little bit of a different folder structure for some of my materials, a method that I think works well. It used to be that I would name every individual tile. Instead, I'm going to keep, I'm going to name every individual map and keep them in a category. So this is going to be, we'll just call this Spanish tile 2 to keep this in check. And then the other thing I'm stopping doing is I used to name these with the suffix dash diffuse to designate it. But I'm finding that now that I'm using some generators that will automatically name things after they've generated normal and bump maps, is that it's useful not to have that diffuse designation in there. So this is just going to be Spanish tile 2, and that's it. Now, another thing about this is I'm going to be using generic bump maps. So I have a folder that is just in my tiles folder that's filled with bump maps. Simple enough. So the last bit that I want to do here is I'm going to use a stamp tool, which in this case is Control Alt Shift E. And I created a stamp here. Let's see if I can make large thumbnails there so we can see this a little bit better. And what a stamp did is it basically just took what the image was on here and created a new layer of that image of all this composited, stuff going on here. So we can see that we've got, if I just hit my Alt key and click on the little eye here, right here, we can see that this is the original image and I've added some grout lines on top. Now I'm going to take this layer from here and I want to create some kind of a roughness map. And it's just going to be something that just has slight movement in its color. So the main thing I want to do then is I like to go through and go to filter, other, and do a high pass on this. And this is going to get me really close to the results that I want. Okay. So let me press OK with this. And I like this so far, but here's where I'm going to take it a step further. I'm going to drop this back to, well, actually, I'm going to duplicate this layer. Control J to duplicate that layer, drop it on top of this other one here. If I can get this to go, there we go. And then I'm going to Alt click in between, and that's going to clip this to the layer below. And now I'll turn it on, and excuse me, that's the colorizer. I need to also Alt that up there as well, and that clips to the layer as well, right? So I'm actually going to group these two. Oops, group, Shift select, group these two. And so now I am designating this separate from the layer below, okay? And so what I'm doing with this now, my next step here is just going to pull the saturation out. And then I'm either going to make this gloss or not gloss. And so black would be gloss, white would be not gloss. So this is going to make my grout lines not very glossy. And the tile itself is just a kind of a medium matte gloss. Now let me export this. Control Shift Alt W gets me to this. And a lot of times I'll downscale this. I'm starting not to. I'm getting a little lazy. I might change this to 768, but really it's going to get a better looking texture if I leave it. But let's go 768. And we're just reducing this a little bit, doing a little pixel saving, if you will. And so now I can click on Spanish Tile 2, and here we go. I get to say that this is going to be the bump map. Excuse me, in this case, it's the roughness map. So let's bring this over to Chief Architect. I'm not going to open up Twinmotion to do these materials there, even though these materials will apply there. So, and so let's do Control F7 should get the feed back to this other side. Hopefully that works. Okay, so from here, let's drop a window in just so we have some light, couple windows. This will just help me kind of see that texture. And then let's switch it to a PBR ray trace mode. So this is going to be a ray trace quality, which you'll see in any other softwares as well. And so I'll just change the material of the wall. It seems to be my method, really easy. Sometimes I'll be using, well, actually in this case, since we're going to be putting this out as a free symbol pack, let's go ahead and take the time to draw a few backsplashes or material region if you want. So, we can always snap this back to itself and then tab it over and then -24. Now I know I have a 24-inch panel. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a repeat here, 24-inch, and get a couple of these going. There we go. And if you didn't know it, in my kitchen tools, I have this little guy. This will snap to a corner. What's great about him is you can then select all these panels and copy, duplicate about that corner. Look how quick that is. All right, that should be a tip by itself. You're welcome. So, that being the case, material, rainbow bacon tool. Let's grab one of these tiles. I don't care about the name yet because I'm going to change the name when I figure it out. Anybody want to give me a name for this first tile? I'm all ears. So let's go grab this. And My fault here is that I always forget to save the path from Photoshop. So I'm going to get back to Photoshop and go through the export dialog again, just so I could copy the path and bring it forward. That was on my second screen. So now I can go through and paste this up here and hit enter. Simple, way easier. So there's my Spanish tile. And then my bump map is going to be one level down and then in a folder just called bump and normals. So I want either Foursquare even or Foursquare, which is an offset. So we're going to do Foursquare even. That gives me our little bit of a relief in the joint here. Let's expand this so we can kind of see the dialog. Kind of wheel this around. You can see here that the bump map's inverted, right? So we'll undo that or invert. And then our next step, well, let's get rid of the AO map. I don't think I'm going to even generate an AO map for this one. And then let's we can paste that same path. And now we can grab that roughness map. And hopefully we'll see just the smallest bit of movement in the tile. So let's take a look at what this looks like. There we go. And now the next thing I want to do is I want to scale this, right? So I'm thinking these are going to be about 6-inch tiles. So because they're 6-inch tiles, it's 4 tiles here, 2 going either way. It's really going to be a 12 by 12 texture. And then I like to take my camera and just kind of pan around and make sure that it looks the way I want it to. This could also be a 12 by 12 tile, honestly. This could be a floor tile. Might look nice even. Let's try it out as a floor tile. So that would make it a 24 by 24. Let's go ahead and paint this on the floor and take a look. And then I'm going to roll around and I want to catch that light. I just want to see what it's doing. Does it look realistic? Do I like it? Is it up to par with what I want here? I like the recess and the grout line. I think that looks good. You can really see it before it denoises that the grout actually looks really good. So if someone's got their sample rate up, that's going to look really nice. And then the last thing is I might move the sun around. Since it's so easy to move the sun around now, you might as well check it out, see what it's doing. You can obviously see the relief in those joints. I like that it's a little bit matte. I think that's appropriate. It almost seems like a concrete tile. So this is pretty good. So that's it. So the last bit is we're going to grab this and we're going to do batch naming and batch search attributes. So I'm not worried about that. It used to be that I would do search attributes right away. New version of Chief makes it so we can do group search attributes and group moving and group tagging. So this is awesome. Don't want to create a new material, so we can just grab this. And anybody got a name? No name? Let's just orange and teal. Man, let's call it the Bronco. Not very original. So something that would be really nice to the end user is if I add a pattern. And since this is a 12 by 12 non-grid offset, we're just going to do grid, regular grid, 12 by 12 tile. We can go ahead and make sure that this is black. Here we go. 12 by 12. Is it in sync is our next question. Well, there's a horizontal offset that existed in the previous texture. So I'm going to set that back to 0. Just double check this with the vector view. And look at that. It's lined up. So now you want to make sure that you are keeping pattern texture in sync. Boom. So last bit, add it to the library. And look at that. Very quickly, we got a new one. So that's the first. And I can hit cancel. Since we set offsets, we fixed a couple things. I'm going to go ahead and paint the rest of the room here. And then we'll just change them from there. Okay. So let's go take a look at what our next one is. I'm going to get over to Photoshop and then Control F8. You should be seeing that in the feed. Yes, you are. All right. So what do I have here? Let's see. It's actually that I have somewhere all my textures saved. There we go. So this one's done. There's the next one. So we're just going to copy the image, take it to Photoshop. Quite simply, I'm going to put it on top of this layer. There we go. And we're going to get rid of our stamp. So our group is going to be our bump grout adjuster. How about that? That's our group. And we can just start to get rid of some of these. I don't need them anymore. We've already got them saved, so I'm not too worried about them. And then here we go. So we have a grout line on here. Now it's just a matter of picking what we want that grout line to look like. So what color do we want this? The red looks nice. I'll play around with the hue, saturation. Kind of might want to do a brown. Oh, a green looks very interesting. Gosh, would you do a green on this? That would make it very totally different color palette. Blue makes a lot of sense. I think a lighter blue is what I'm going to go for. So I'm going to pump that lightness up. Get right in there. That's about right. And if we wanted to, we could kind of make a little bit of like a sand texture in here, right? It'd be pretty easy to do that. Let's just grab that real quick. So we're just going to look for this. Watch this. Just look for sand. Simple enough. Should be able to get some straight on picture pretty quickly, right? Just like this. The other way to do it is just add noise. Very, very easy to just add noise to this. So let's do a new layer on top, and we're going to, we're just going to paint in this layer, but we're going to clip it. And in fact, if we hit Control, let's see, Control didn't work. I want this layer isolated. And what I'm going to try to do here, right now this has a blend mode. The blend mode is that it's making it so that any white channels disappear. So it makes it also so that we can't select based on the layer contents. So what we're going to do is convert it to a smart object and then rasterize the layer. Now I should be able to Control D to deselect and then Control click on the layer, and now it selects just, you see that? It selects just that, those grout lines. So now this next layer is clipping to those grout lines. So once I've got that, let me go ahead and fill this. And I'm just going to choose, I don't know, maybe a gray. And we can paint this. And so we're painting on this new layer I just created. Okay. And from there, I want to filter and noise. And we're going to add noise. And so that adds a bunch of like purlin noise. You can see it kind of showing up there. Now with that purlin noise, I'm going to hit Control U and I'm going to pull the saturation out. And there we go. We've got a bunch of bump in our grout. Isn't that wild? So I can Control D to deselect and start to turn this stuff back on. Now I actually want this below my hue layer. And now this foursquare is actually kind of becoming obsolete, right? So the hue layer set to colorize. And we're going to kind of do like that light blue again. There we go. Something like that. Yeah, kind of like that. Okay, now let's export it. Put this back up to 1024. Guy's getting a free lesson in Photoshop right now, which I've started to offer. Started to offer lessons in Photoshop. So this is just going to be Spanish Tile 3. That's simple enough. Let's go ahead and stamp this. Now we're going to do that same high pass. That looks pretty good. I might want this one to have a little bit, a little more gloss. So I'm going to hit Control M to get in my curves adjustment layer, and I'm going to just kind of drop this curve down just a little bit. And then there's some white sections in there that I don't want to be white. So I'm going to bring that white side down a little bit as well. So this is going to have It's going to have a little bit more movement in its reflection. And we'll see what that looks like when we're done. So last bit is here is we're going to just go ahead and Control J this guy, drag him up. We're going to make a new bump modifier because this one has grout incorporated into it, right? Actually, it looks like we're missing a little piece here. Look at that. Had a little error here. So easy enough for us to hit that stamp tool. And actually, before we even do that, let's go ahead and control click this so that this is all filled. And then we can hit that stamp tool and make sure that this is all filled up. There we go. A little patch and repair, if you will. So there we go. We've got a grout line that is no longer gloss. This looks pretty good. We might do one more thing. And this is just to make sure that this is truly a black and white, which is we can put another hue adjustment layer. We can clip it to that. We're going to actually group these two now. Let's group these. This is going to be, we'll just call this again a bump generator. We'll make a couple of these until we get the perfect workflow. Bump generator, and then this hue saturation is going to clip to there. And then we're going to make the adjustment to pull the saturation all the way out. And there you go. You have a perfect setup here. So since we're getting a bunch of layer stacks, maybe we'll start to organize these a little bit. Let me group these together. These are going to be the base color maps. Okay, we no longer need this 4 square. We've got a new 4 square, but just to keep it in check, let's just call this, group this the initial route overlay. Bump generator, and we're going to get rid of the bump adjuster because I think we've got that here. So there we go. Now let's export this guy. We can do that 768 again. So what are we at? Spanish style 3. Bump. And let's bring you back over to Chief. Okay. And now we're back in Chief. We're going to do individual texture. Don't care what this is named. You're going to keep all these pretty much the same size, and people can adjust them themselves because we get that keep texture pattern in sync here. All right, so let's make sure that that in fact did not get saved for some reason. I think that's because I missed a step there. Oops, but that's okay. We'll save it this time around. So this is going to be 12 by 12, no offset. And let's not keep oops, I clicked that too soon. This is going to be 0 offset. And we've got a scale that is 12 by 12. Okay. And so let's get our new bump map. And in fact, we're going to bring this back a level. Take this to the bumps. Right in there. Oh, actually, you know what? That's wrong. It's not a bump map. That's a roughness map. My bad. Moving too fast. Rename it if we can. Let me. There we go. Okay, that's in place. Oh, I did it again. There we go. Order of operations means everything, right? All right. Yeah, see, this one's a little bit glossier because we brought that darkness up, and you can see it right here. You see that movement in the gloss itself. We just got a little bit of movement. Man, does that make a difference when we're rendering. Yeah, I like that one. Not bad. So, add it to the library. Oh, what are we going to call this? Kaleidoscope? That's what we're calling it? I see this comment on Facebook. Kaleidoscoping. Call it that. Add the library, keep texture pattern in sync. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, we got it all. Boom. And then since we finally got that grid correct, let's paint all these. Okay, what's up next? Need a third screen to manage the stream going back and forth. Okay, expand base color map. Let's get a new diffuse map in here. Let's take a look at what we've got going on. So we're going to get 4 or 5 of these Spanish looking mosaic tile. And then from there, we've got some other looks and feels as well. Let's turn off bump generator. Let's turn off grout overlay. And so just base color map. There we go. And so what do we want tile grout wise? I think this is going to be a dark orange. So it looks like it wants to be a light orange. Okay. Should be pretty easy now. And after this, let's take a break and take a look at the prompts I used to generate these, just so that you can do these yourself. Stamp that, and then we've got our. So here's something that's great about this. Why don't we create our own process generator, if you will? And so what we're going to do is we're going to pull up actions. And actually, let me just undock actions if I can. Let's pull actions out for a second. Okay. And so what I want to do here is I want to record this action. So the record here is going to be a new action. Let's put it in generators. And I'm going to hit my plus icon. It's going to bring this action up. And we're just going to call this roughness generator. Okay. So we're going to hit record. And so first thing is we're going to create a stamp. And then from that stamp, I'm going to go to our high pass. We're keeping that same look. And then from high pass, we're pulling this down just a little bit, pulling that white down just a little bit. And then from there, we're pulling saturation out. Now here's the main problem. I missed one step that would have been really, really important. So I'm going to go back. So let's try that again. Roughness generator, merge visible hue saturation. Let's get rid of these. We're gonna make this a non-destructive workflow, if you will. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna hit our record. So we're gonna stamp. Now I want to convert this to a smart object. Okay. From there, everything I do is reversible. So in case something got screwed up, it's all adjustable now. So the next thing I want to do is do that high pass. Okay. Followed by that curves. And then pull that saturation out. So let me go ahead and hit stop and we'll take a look at this. So that did a pretty good job. And the great thing about this is um, because it's a smart object, you can go through and check all of these and fix some things. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to turn this off again, turn this guy off again, and let's just make this selection and let's run that action. We're just going to run it here. And here's the great thing about it is any place I put a check mark, this will add the ability for me to edit these during that process. Okay. So it might be that I want to change the high pass when it comes up in the stack here. So I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to hit press play. It's not currently available. It's saying merge visible isn't currently available. Well, that doesn't help at all. We had a problem in the first step there. Let's try it just in this folder here. Let's see if we can't run that again. There we go. And now it prompted me to do the high pass generation. So it wants to see what levels I want to get to with this, which I could set a few different parameters. I'm going to leave it pretty much where it was, and I'm going to press OK. It's going to do the rest of the action for me. It did it, but I can always go back and change one of these. You can see if I double click on the curves, I can adjust this after the fact. So this is a non-deconstructive automated workflow to do what I was just doing over and over again. Really simple. So now that I have that, that's a tool. It's there. I have it forever. Able to use it. I'll export this action so that I have it stored into my cloud. All kinds of cool stuff. So this is really cool. So now there we go. I've got my roughness map. Really easy. Next one will be that much faster. Fact, why don't we just do another tile? We'll just jump through it. So this one's done. Control W closes that active window out. And then we can copy this image. I can see a problem with this image. They pulled it from some kind of copyright. So that's kind of funny. So let's get into that base color map right here. We're going to paste. And we got to, make some things not visible anymore. So it might be that I'm going to get rid of some of these. Okay, so I see one thing we got to fix here. Let's select that layer and we're just going to patch this out. In fact, this is a solid color. Get a round brush. There's some kind of logo in the source text. Sorry for whoever this stole your art from. All right, so there's our diffuse map. What do we want for our color grout? Let's set this up. Let's kind of look through. Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. Okay, there's our export. Spanish tile 4. Tile 5. Cool. And then what do we get to do? Well, we already know what we get to do. Select this folder, and I'm going to uncheck this option, and that's going to make it so this just runs. There we go. There's my roughness map. Super easy. Super, super easy. Maybe I want a little bit more movement in this. So let's change the curves just a little bit. There we go. Got a little bit more movement in it. Couldn't be easier than that. Could not. Cool. In fact, since that's there, it's so easy to do, I don't mind deleting this stuff, right? Easy to turn this stuff off. There we go. W, here's, ooh, this is when we get out of our quick moves here, because this is a totally different grout setup. So we'll have to work with that. Same with these. Here's another one though. Let's do this one. It's kind of a wild one. Like that blue or yellow grout. I think yellow. Pull saturation down just a little bit, kick lightness up. Yeah, I think I like that. Breaks it up a little bit. Or I don't know, do you keep it in the same, maybe it's that blue. Maybe it's that dark blue. Yeah, I like the dark blue. That works well. Yes, exactly. You know, let's get this stuff done fast, 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 fast. Actually, I don't like the blue. It crosses that little orange detail. I kind of want it to be orange. Let's switch that up. So we're going to need lightness back. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Only problem is I got to name all these. That's the main problem. The main big problem. That one just how it is. This is a good time. I'm about to go to Costa Rica. It feels like it falls in line with that theme. Oops, I think that name got screwed up. Whoops. Oh man, still going. Got a lot of these. That's right. We're going to stop and look at Discord real quick to see what was happening. So, on Discord, what was the prompt? Let's take a look at these real quick. So, on Discord, what were we looking at here? This is it. A mosaic Spanish influenced tile, not too busy, terracotta, right here. And then this is the big designator. Dash dash tile will make it a seamless piece. Right? So that's it. Simple as that. Generated these four. I pumped them up. This one was a black mosaic. We did some earlier that were really simple. Let's talk about them real quick. We need some art piece. Let's take a look. Here was another tile I did in the past. This was kind of like a siding material, and you can see here, applied it to Chief. Look at that, right? This copper ended up generating this. Look at that. Got this. This is in my art catalog now. Very simple. All right. And we only got a few more to go. And then we're going to push this out. This black and white one should be interesting. I'm really curious to see what this looks like on a wall in Chief. So let's finish some of these other Spanish tiles. Let's convert these over. So we're on Spanish tile 4. And we know we can leave that bump map intact. If we just type in Spanish, that'll get us there. And really, all we need to do right here is delete 3, type in 4. That should get us there. And that should be it. Look at that. Quick, easy. So what to call this one? Whatever comes to mind. Yellow flower Spanish. Spanish yellow flower. I'm just going to trust that these look the way that I want them to. So I'm just going to add them. So what can we do next? Guess what? We can just go down the line. Isn't this funny? This is why I wish they had the roughness on the same panel as the texture and diffuse, right? That'd make a big difference. All right, so what are we calling this one? I like Spanish orange fruit. And we get to add that. Okay, 6. This is great about this naming convention. Couldn't be easier, right? You just get to flip this on the fly. I'm gonna call this. I'm just gonna come up with some goofy names. Did we make it to a 7? We don't have a 7 roughness. Now, why is that? Because I didn't export it. Well, because I didn't generate one. Duh. I'm going to do that on the off screen here real quick because we've got that just play button, right? Bam. Have this up in just a minute. And what do we call this one? And that's the end of the Spanish ones, I think. I like lace. Look at that. We got all these nice ones here. And we'll fix some of the naming conventions in a little bit. Did we do that one? Why does that one look so different? It's got different grout lines. I don't think I did that one. Man, there's so many. All right, let's do some of these kind of wacky ones, huh? This one's going to be challenging. It's got a lot going on. Let's try it. Make sure I got you guys up here. Okay. Okay. So that grout is not going to work, obviously. So this is kind of a funny one. In fact, we might even do a new blank to add this in. So here's what I want to see. We're gonna Control J to make a copy of this, by the way, and then let's do a canvas resize because we want to check how this tiles. We want to see what this looks like when it tiles. So I'm going to choose anchor in the left-hand corner and then times 2, 348. Do the math. There we go. Okay, and then so I can hit my V key and then hold Alt when I'm clicking this, and that's going to make a duplicate. And so this actually isn't tiling at all. It's kind of interesting. So in adjustments, in properties, if I have this selected, should be able to flip this. And so now that's tiled. I don't know that would we ever tile this? I'm not sure. It's a good question. So Control E to stamp this down to the one below, and then I can click on this again, hold my Alt key when I'm doing it. There we go, made a copy, and then flip it again. So now this is infinitely tiled, and you can see here we got some issues with this color, right? So it might be that I might even bust my pen out real quick. I got a little stylus here. We're going to make some selection. And this is just going to make it so that it's easier for me to select certain parts of this map, like so. Made a selection there. We're going to hold Shift, make a selection up here. There we go. I've got these 2 selections, and now I want to adjustments, replace color. So I want to target this color right here and make sure that it's, well, it shouldn't have any black in it at all. And then, oh, and we got one problem here. Problem is that we're not merged. So Control E to stamp this down. Now we can do that. Adjustments. Let's see, replace color. So now let's pull that saturation out. And we're going to increase the fuzziness. And what that does is it grabs similar, oh, I got to remember all my terms when I'm instructing, grabs similar hues, so the neighboring hues, and if the fuzziness gets too high, we're selecting too many things, which we don't want to be doing. So in that case, we're going to hit this um, eyedropper plus, and we're going to sample another color as well. So there are definitely some blues in this shot. So that's we're going to leave that saturation up just a little bit, but we'll pull that darkness down. And so now we're getting those blacks closer to the rest of the blacks that are in the scene, right? There we go. Control D, deselect. So this is going to be a really challenging one to do a bump map for, but that's the power of that high pass filter. So let's just hit plus. Let's do this. Let's run it. There you go. Did a pretty good job, honestly. It's going to make these middle sections stand out a little bit more, but I don't know that I'm mad at that. I think I'm actually just fine with that. So not only is this generating, it's kind of generating a roughness map, if you will. Here's what we'll do with this. We're going to control J to copy it. Let's turn off one of them and let's change the blend mode for this. Let me turn clicks on my mouse so my mouse wheel clicks. And I'm going to change this so that it's either an overlay or maybe a soft light. So even in a screen mode, it's kind of interesting, but I want those whites to be dark. So let's get to, there's overlay. It's not really doing what I want it to do. I kind of like what this did because there's still some movement in. This is kind of what I'm looking for right here. So the last bit of this is that now I want to do another stamp. And from that stamp, I'm going to pull out those whites. So I'm going to do another replace color here. And I'm just going to up the level of these whites. There we go. And then maybe we'll turn down the fuzziness just a little bit, leave a little bit left. And then let's just do a levels and bring this down. And so that's going to make this really glossy, right? And let's just leave a little bit, just leave a little bit of variation. So this is a gloss. So this is going to get its own, well, maybe we'll put it in a mosaic folder. So let's start with this. And this is, since we pumped it up, it's 2048 by 2048. Now, material like this, I might leave it like that because we want that fidelity. We want how dynamic it is. So I'm going to leave it at 2048. So this is going to be a little bit of higher map. So let's get into tile, and I'm going to make a mosaic folder. So Control Shift N for a new folder, name it mosaic, and you should be able to hit enter and then enter again to get inside of there, right? So we'll call this mosaic 1, and this first part is roughness. Okay, now this top one, this is our bump map. And then our bottom layer here, turn all this off. There's our diffuse, there's our base color map. Really interested to see what this looks like on Chief. Kind of excited about it, honestly. Because it's fun when you get these interesting looking ones, right? Let's get this library browser out of the way. And so this is one that would be challenging to make a custom pattern for. So kaleidoscope one, it doesn't matter, press OK. And what did I forget to do? I forgot to save the path, but that's okay. We'll just type in MO and that'll get us pretty close here. So now we can copy that path. And we're probably going to pump this up to 48. Okay. And we're probably going to pump this up to a 0.1 to really get that to stand out. Oh, that looks a little heavy. Let's make it 0.01. There we go. That's looking pretty good already. It might have been that I want to mess with that roughness a little bit, but we'll go with it. We'll see what happens with this. Super excited to see this. Let's see what we got going on. It looked like it had a really heavy bump on the wall, so we're gonna look at that. We're gonna get in tight. So what we'll do is we'll change our export samples to 50. That's gonna give us a little bit of a window of time to look at this. Yeah, it's got a lot of cool movement. I'll say as soon as it starts looking like your texture has bubble wrap on it, that's when your normal or your bump height is too high. So if it starts looking a little bit bubbly, like it is starting to look a little bit bubbly, I think this bump map's a little too high. When she finally fixes its PNG stuff, you can even make like a glass tile. Right now, it's really difficult to do that. Also, looks like I want to invert this map. Yeah, I think I do. So let's go 0.00. Let's go 7. Sometimes it's hard to tell if you need to invert or not. I like how some of this is glossy, some of it's not. That's still too high on the bump map. So this is a case for creating a normal map. And so let's do it real quick. So we're going to use Shader Map 4, which is a free software. It'll offer if you want to pay. And then I'm going to add that. Let's just paste this in. Should be easy enough. And I could paste the diffuse map and it's going to try to come up with a normal based on that. But in this case, since we've got a bump already, let's do that. And we're so trying to generate a normal from this. And you can see here, it did a pretty good job. Now, usually this is going to be applied on something like a cube. So we're going to change that parameter to a cube. And so this is showing us that normal, right? So here's where we can mess around with some of the intensities. Pump the intensity up. We're going to get this to stand out more. But you can see here, we got a lot of funny little things in the details, right? So it might be that we mess around with our detail scale, and that gets me to a better looking image already. There's a little bit of cupping on the tile. What happens when we drop all this down? Now we get a very flat surface, especially in the low detail, right? So I'm going to bring this up just a little bit to get a little bit more of that cupping back up, and then we can click on sharpen, and that might get us to somewhere. And then from here, maybe we can raise that intensity even more and get a little more depth in it. And I'm going to bring that low detail back down again. Kind of like that. That's not bad. Maybe we can bring in some mid detail. Mid detail kind of brings in a lot of noise inside of the tile itself, which we don't want. We really just want it along the edges. So another thing to consider, if we just switch back over to Photoshop, let's hit our Control F7, get back over to Photoshop. I'm going to get back to that, what we're considering the bump map, which is this guy. And let's see what we can do with just select the right layer. Let's get into our filter gallery. Might be able to do some things with some of its filtering. One in particular is like a photocopy. It's kind of getting us all of those edges. Look at that. Isn't that impressive, right? So we pump the detail up here. Might even be able to get more. So the great thing about this is as we put more and more detail into it, it kind of gets rid of some of our problems, right? So let me press OK. I'm going to go from this and we'll export this out. So we might say bump -2, is something that's common for me if I need to do a couple different versions of something. That's going to be bump dash 2. And then what we can do here is we can just do a full new image, or we can replace this image either way. Um, I know in the non-paid version, I think sometimes you have to just go new project. So this should be a really, really clean bump map right off the bat. It really is. And so now, same thing, we want to kind of limit some of this noise. So especially in that low detail, or we're going to get more flat. There we go. That's looking really, really good. I'm liking that a lot. Yeah, I think that's good just where it is. So when you hit the set the save file path, that just gives you the pathing here. And this automatically adds bump to normal because we used it from the bump map. And there's that problem that I was talking about here. So if we want to fix that, we have to click on that folder option, and then we can click on that base map. And now we can add normal to the name. 1-normal. A lot of time spent on this particular tile, but this is one of those ones that's worth it to me. It's a very unique looking, interesting looking tile. I'm curious to see how it works out. So then let me hit that save button. That goes ahead and does that. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not showing the wrong screen. I didn't realize that, but I guarantee you that it's good stuff. If that's helpful at all. So at some point, like, you need a stream manager just to see what's going on sometimes. It's crazy. Especially when no one's commenting. Just let me run wild. Oh, I was streaming the right screen. All right, good. Well, I don't know what screen I'm on. There's so many screens. Control F8. That should get me to this Photoshop screen. So I have this where we put, filter on top. Now, if I change this blend mode on top of our roughness, I can invert this, right? So let me invert it and switch the blend mode. And there we go. There's our new roughness map because it has no roughness on the grout lines. Really dynamic. This is going to be cool. So we'll make this roughness 2. Bam. And let's do some switching again. Back to the main screen. Now we're back on Chief. And let's use these new tools. In fact, we don't even need a bump map. We can just use that normal map if we want to. Sometimes the normal map's a much better piece. Depends on how much height we got out of that normal map. It might be that we want to switch back to the rough, so we've got some control, or use the two together. Let's take a look at what this did. It's a much cleaner image. Not a lot of noise in that tile. I will say I'm not sure that I like that normal map. But you know what? From this distance, which is where you're going to be rendering this from, that's pretty awesome. Let's let it denoise and see what it does. The denoiser kind of is a great delimiter. It kind of shows that we have a little bit too much height or a little bit too much roughness, one or the other. So in fact, we're going to add that bump map. Bump map allows us to kind of limit the normal map when they leave it in. So you see what I mean? Looks like there's bubbling around this. So we're going to drop this all the way down and see what we get out of it. That's much better, a lot less bubbling. Let's turn off the normal map. Let's see what goes on there. Is that improved or not? And it looks like I might be able to pull that bump back up again. Right about there, maybe. We're going to let the roughness do a lot of the effect anyways. Yeah, so this is starting to look really, really good now. What an interesting, cool mosaic. Very cool. I'm happy with this. So let's check out the last little bit here. I like how random it is too. I'm not even going to bother trying to mess around with that or fix it. So the next part is let's see if we can generate a pattern that would make any kind of sense at all, which I kind of doubt. Let's see, what was our size first? We want to make sure we got the correct size here. We are 48 by 48. So let's generate a pattern that's 48 by 48. Bring the feed back up. So devil in the details. Devil is in the details. You're still here. Man, you've been hanging out all day. Very cool. So let me get to my to process folder, which isn't necessary. Paste this in. So crucial to have that paste always available for you. And then we'll just bring in this texture. And it should be simple as snapping in place. So from here, anything we drop in here is going to repeat. So I'm kind of lining up my grids of my crosshairs to the top and bottom of that first ring here. Something like that. And you see here, it's making a repeating pattern. Now I'm not going to get too crazy with this. So I want to copy, paste, use the copy paste. And is this a circle? It is, but it's not letting me resize until we convert this somehow. So it might be that I need to put a break in this, or it might be that I need to, let's see, copy, and it gives me no edit handle. Oh, there we go. I was just missing it, except for this is not concentric. Let's try concentric. Concentric is not working. There it is. Concentric. Bam. And in fact, we can even do it better than that. Let's do a multiple copy, and let's just set, what are we going to do? 1, 2, 3, 4 rings. We'll do 4 rings. So held that. It's not giving me a oh, there it is. There's my resize handle right here. See? Isn't that cool? And we're just going to get close, and that's it. It's going to be representative, right? And let's back out of that because I don't want it to go over the top of the outside of this. Making sure that it's just within that one right there. That's good. Okay. And then I can marquee select similar, select all these, copy it, reflect about center. Simple enough. Copy it, reflect about center, copy it, reflect about center. So getting really close. Let's just do one more copy. Kind of don't want to do this one because it's doing that weird little cut at the end here. So what's going to happen here is we're going to convert this, and which creates a bunch of vector lines, which I don't really love. Like, I'm not super thrilled about that, but I feel like this is our only option. Actually, let's cancel that. Let's do this. We'll just draw a square, draw that circle. There's no union. Yeah, no matter what, I've got to convert this to a polyline. Too bad. Don't see any way around that unless there's trim function might work. Let's try that. Let's draw a line. Use that as a trim. There we go. That worked. So close this up. Now it's sealed up. Same thing. Call me a professional. Call me a professional. What is this called? Doesn't matter. We're going to close it, save it. And that's our new pattern. This becomes Brad's mosaic um, black, white circle. I don't know. I don't even know what to call it. So let's go fix this texture now. In the pattern part, we're going to hit library. We'll target that. Simple, 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 simple. It's generating a lot of vector because the size parameter is a little off here, but that looks right. 1-to-1. Should be able to just click this to standard and have it be lined, excuse me, click it to vector and have it be lined up, which it is. Isn't that cool? Bam, keep pattern texture in sync. This is a complete texture. I almost want to call this kaleidoscope. I'm going to call this the owl mosaic. And I think that's going to be it. I think I'm going to go paste all these. Let's see, is there any more we want to look at beforehand? This one's done in the books. Oh, this one was kind of wild. Might do this one, sure. While I have you here, right? We can kind of do that same workflow. So, and we need to run a filter for that edge detect because that was very cool. So let's just roll from clipboard, paste it. So we already know a couple things. We're going to, edge detect's going to be tough on this because we've got so many patterns in between stuff. You must just have to apply a grid here. Which, I mean, this is just a 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, see, there's a break in some of these tiles, almost looks like. I don't know. Huh. Tough one. There's a way to make an array in Photoshop, and I just don't do it often enough, so it's hard for me to remember it. Try to learn in front of people. That's always fun. How do we do an array? I forget. And this looks like it's out of scale on one side versus the other, which is kind of crazy. This one's going to take a minute. Okay, well, maybe we'll try it. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's an 8 and 8. So let's do a new guide layout. Columns 8. We want the gutter to be 2 pixels, 3 pixels. So columns are 9. And no, I got it wrong. One less, 7. There we go. So columns is 7. We got a gutter of 2 pixels. And we want a margin of 2 pixels. Okay. No, margin of, is that right? 2 pixels? Yeah. Yeah. That's right. This is going to be a tough one. Tell you what. So let's add some rows in. Just thinking in my head right now. There we go. So we got some guidelines. So these are going to be guides for painting, and can't remember how to select with these guides for painting. And it also looks like We got the row. We got this wrong. New guide layout. Are there more? Oh, there's more going up and down. Interesting. So basically, we need to stretch all of this so that it fits within these guides. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Oh, screwed something up on the left right now. Dang it. We're going to get it. I know I am. It is 8. Boy, this texture's really stretched in places. Funny. Yeah, it's 8 and 8. Okay. So let's just start by doing a bunch of little stretches. So we're going to get this first row lined up appropriately. Okay, we're going to get it real nice and close. Yeah, that's first row. And then I'm just going to do a mask. I could do a bunch of warping, but I think this works just fine. See, just get rid of that. Second row's off, so we're going to get rid of that. Make sure that our flow is at 100%. I want to make sure we're 100% masking. Okay, and then let's J this up. And now I'm just looking at second column, getting that lined up. Yeah, this is challenging. This is going to be a funny one. But you know what? I'm game for it. What else was I going to do with my night? Don't tell me. Don't talk to me. Oh, I have a drink right here. What are we doing? Yeah, there we go. Friday night, and I'm working on stuff to give to people. Silly. Mm-mm-mm. So we're going to fix a couple little things here, but otherwise that one looks pretty good. So that's row number 2. Yep. Bam. And so row number 2 is going to get its own mask. Yep. So row 3. The music on. Myself. I need to just have people on the show with me. There we go. Row 3 looks money. Perfect. So we're just going to masky. And go again. This is quality stuff. This is why it takes time to get quality like this. And this is a fictitious tile. That's what's even worse. You'll never be able to order this tile. Let that weight be on your shoulders. Feel guilty for me? You'll never order this tile. Boy, that last one, that last little shift got me all the way to the last row almost. Cool. That's cool. Which means I'm really only going to mask this last row. Maybe the last 2 rows. Last 2 rows are a little off. Oh, shoot. Put a mask up. All right. And this one, I just get to fake this one right here. So a little problem child here. That's okay. We'll just make a partial selection and fix that. So what do we want for that? M. So we're going to make I'm going to select all of what? This right here. This right here. Okay. That fixed some of that. And then I'm going to select this right here. And bring it back down. Yep, that got us. That's right on the grid now. It's looking good. Perfecto. So how do we select in between grid lines? That's a good question. I actually don't know. I mean, I can snap to grid lines. Probably should have done a pen path instead. Should ask ChatGPT this. I don't know. The other thing we can do is, so we can just drop in a new layer right on top here. And since the grids are there and I kind of know where they are, I'm going to just make a bright green, and we're going to make this, we know that it's we need a brush, we know that it's 2 pixels, and we know hardness is 100%, and so we can just draw this and zoom in super tight. We know we need to be right here, right in between this, hold shift and draw nothing, absolutely nothing at all, because we don't have the right tool enabled or something. What's going on there? Oh, I have a selection, so deselect. And that almost got me in between the lines. It's funny, it's like offset a little bit. There's some pixels here that are problematic. That's what's going on. So I don't like that. We're going to go a little left. There we go. One down. There's 2 down. I'll say I never did nothing for you. We really only want the ends to be a single pixel. They're going to butt to each other. And we have to catch that last pixel. In fact, let's do the ends last because they're going to hit those guidelines and we don't want them to. So devil is in the details. A lot of people just say that this isn't worth the time, and honestly, it's probably not. But it's good to learn this stuff. You never know. Okay, let's clear the guides. Yeah, so now we just have the ends. Last pixel on the grid. There's my grout lines. That's my bump map. That's what it's going to be. And here's kind of the great thing about this is we can always use that filter other minimum and pump those grout lines up dynamically, which I think I'll do in this case. Something like that. I think that's about right. Right? And what do we do from here? We know we can add a hue, saturation, clip to one move below, change that, and we want grout lines in this case are just going to be straight up white. So from here, let's go ahead and run our roughness generator. We're not going to merge visible this time. So there we go. Now we'll merge visible. There's our roughness generator, and there's our grout lines on top. Voila! Boom. Awesome. Challenging one. What do we call this? I'm going to call this spaz. feels appropriate. Oh, I forgot to call it roughness. I turned to SketchUp somehow. Okay. Spaz. So this one from here, like this is spaz. That one was not. Oh, I did call it roughness. Good. Spaz. And then roughness in this case could probably also be, no, it doesn't want to be bump. So really we just want a blank underneath, a solid color. So we can just add this and G it up, and let's put in just a gray. There we go. There's our bump. I want spaz to be a little bit. We're gonna fix this curves. A little glossier. Pull that white. Pull this down a little bit too. Move this curves in a little. There we go. Glossier. Okay, let's get back to boy, I like that circle one a lot. That's so cool. Kandinsky. Spaz is going to be 12 by 12, I think. We didn't even check if it's actually tileable, but it should be. I'm thinking. Maybe you leave it 48. 48 could be cool. I don't know. We'll see. Keeping pattern, texture, and sync is going to cause this a problem, so I need to uncheck that here pretty quick. Because all we have for pattern should just be, let's just check this out real quick. Should be a grid. So at 48 and 48, we got 8. Oh man, do math. Why can't I ever do math? I used to be so good at math. That should be it. No offset. That is not it. Because this happened. There. Now it should be it. That look right? No, it's still off. 48 divided by 8. Oh, still doing math wrong. Man, my dude. Go to school. Okay. Yeah. Let's check this one out. Yeah, it's cool. It's not as cool as I wanted it to be. I think it's cooler if it's smaller. Let's check. Let's try that. And the bump needs to get inverted? No. I think this needs to be 12. That's way cooler. What a wild little tile. Huh. Kind of funky, kind of fun. I think we need more. I think we want way more movement in the roughness. I'm going to do that off screen real quick. That's just me double clicking curves, fixing it again. There we go. Now you're going to see a lot of movement in the. Okay, let's try that again. Yeah, that put a lot of movement in the tile itself. Now you see these little details here as light hits it. This would even be cool if it was metal. Let's just see what that looks like real quick. Curiosity. Yeah, isn't that wild? Yeah, just call it Rab's custom metal tile called Spaz. I like it. I'm gonna leave it just like that. That's really cool. I mean, we can make a metal tile. So white is metal, black is not. So we could do an inversion and then another curves. We don't want the. Wait a minute. Let's go. Just flip curves again. I know you're not seeing my screen. I'm making some parts ultra white, some parts ultra black. Here we go. Now I got some weird metal elements that are going to pop out. Okay. Metal. So metal map is that white is going to be metal. Of according to Chief, and black is not metal. So here's a metal map. So certain elements will be non-metallic. See if I got this right. And if we turn the roughness off, it'll even compound that. And now we're relying on roughness slider. So now that makes certain things very glossy. What do we have here? Oh, you know what? I needed it inverted again. Okay. Invert. Now let's try that. That's making black as that. I get confused. Okay. Try this. Metal 2. Do what I wanted? I think that made it worse. Now the whole thing looks like it's metal. Challenging. Oh, whoa. Look at that. Crazy. It's like mirrored now. Isn't that wild? Kind of like that. Just goofing around at this point. Nothing new. So what happens if we leave this at 0 and flip to that other one? Because this preview image is just not doing it. Not a whole lot, honestly, of difference between 2 and 1. Surprised. I must not have something fully in the white. That's what it is. Okay, so this has got to be fully white. Okay. I'm going to just stamp this then. And then rasterize it. I'm doing stuff on the other side here. I'll help you out in a minute. I'll be back in a minute. I just need to make some really, really ultra white sections. There we go. Okay. Metal 3. There's a reason we call this one Spaz. Okay, that's crazy. Definitely see something happening where the sunlight hits it. So those portions that are black are not metal, which leaves those patterns just really sticking out. That's kind of cool. We could do the inverse now. Let's try the inverse. 4. I don't know if I like it inverted or the other way better. Trouble deciding. Looks crazy. I think I like metal 3. And I think we're going to pump the roughness up to 25 and call it a day. Pump it 15. How about that? I think this needs to be inverted in the bump map too. There it is. That's the texture I wanted to make right there. That's it. It's cool. It's got character. It pops. It's crazy. Yeah, funny. Okay, let's start cataloging. All right, so let's start doing group tags and search attributes. Shift select everything. And tags, we already know we have tile. Although, why isn't it showing up here? Funny. Oh, material tile. That's what it's called. Material tile. There we go. And then search attributes are going to be, well, let's do it this way. We'll first move this, move to folder tile, which is the RD. Yes. Okay. So now that's all there. So let's go tile, RD tile. Just get us to our folder. Oh, weird. I lost that search attribute. That's funny. That should absolutely be a tag of mine. Material tile. Got subfolders are showing. Folders are showing. Weird. Nothing's showing. Material tile. What happened? I lose something here? Tile. Material. Where's all my tile? What did I do? Delete it? There's no way I deleted all my tile. What? What happened here? Something's happening. What's going on here? Some kind of filter? This is show me. Huh. Oh, I'm just absolutely being silly. Filter results. I was wondering why I wasn't seeing anything. What a goof. I'm tired. I need to go to bed. I'm gonna call it a day. There we go. talking about the library browser earlier and and I unchecked some stuff. Let's see. All right, so we can select everything here then from our filtered results. And search attributes, and then just check, check, check. Wallboard, nothing's wallboard in here, so we're going to delete that. We can add backsplash rub, and the one we were missing was already tiles, a bunch of them. There we go. So now they're all tagged. Search attributes are there. Should be able to Spanish and material tile. There we go. And we're finding a lot of our Spanish tile now. And actually, there's some things we should fix here, but so here's what we're giving away. Component base. Let's just start spraying these out so people can see them and make a nice little cover art. Actually, we're going to leave that floor, that mosaic, that crazy mosaic. Takes a little while to paint that one. That one's a little heavy. I like this new GIF generator I have. We're going to do this right here. So we'll record. Actually, stop. Let's just do that. New again. I want to get this active camera going, and we can record. There we go. That's it, everybody. I get to go post this. You can download the catalog if you're on Chief. And I'll see you around.